school. You have Dan Hurley, St. Benedict's.
And by the way, he coached for Bob Hurley at Buffalo.
Another loss in the books for the Toronto Raptors, 13 in a row, tying the second longest losing streak in franchise history after a loss to the Philadelphia 76ers, who were without Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Kelly Oubre and Kyle Lowry led the way for the Sixers, all while the Raptors did play well, but just not well enough.
I mean, it's tough, but that's the reality where we at, and we gotta just adjust and roll with it. Try to get the best out of it, and as you guys can see, Kelly's now really making that progress with the connection with his teammates. Grady is making huge strides, playing huge minutes. Javon is doing good job out there. All of the guys are really trying to grow inside their role.
Look, I'd be lying to you if I told you there were any major takeaways from this game from either side. With the Sixers brutally injured, there wasn't really anything that you could grab onto that could be tangible for the future. And for the Raptors, well, we know what they are at this point. Kelly Olynyk finished with 11 assists on the night and was finding cutters consistently, but again, we know he can do that. Gary Trent Jr. had an efficient 23 points, but also we know he can do that. Bruce Brown and Jordan Nwora had good offensive outings, and while they've both been pretty inconsistent, we know that they can do that. Takeaways at this point in the season for the Raptors are few and far between, but I did want to break down a single play from this game. This is a version of America's play, the LeBron and JJ thing that everybody talks about, and I just wanted to highlight the one part that I thought showed Grady's intuition, his feel for the game. So usually they're setting this up for Grady to flare out to the corner for the three, but because of the angle of the inbounds, it's usually a little bit lower. Instead, Grady decides to get behind Buddy Hield, evade the McDaniel screen, and just be able to cut through. And watch as he grabs it low. This is a really impressive shot. Fading baseline and nails this jumper. I think the cutting in general tonight was good. That's why Kelly Olynyk had 11 assists, and I think Grady had a couple of really good connections with Kelly. I would love to see that connection grow. I think ultimately it'll work really well with Jakob Poeltl too, who has an incredible amount of feel on the court too. And when you pair good cutters like Ochai, like Grady, with good passers like Scotty, like Kelly, like Jakob, you're going to find a really good offensive system. It's just that the Raptors don't have anything else right now. And, they don't have the NBA talent necessary to really pull off wins. And that's a whole different story. But I thought that play was really indicative of the intuition and feel, because Grady was supposed to curl out. And instead of doing that, he just said, oh, let me just cut let me stop short and cut in between. And that way I can get a easy shot and also get Buddy Hield off of my back. So I just thought that was really smart stuff offensively. He's already learning some of these little tweaks that he can do off ball to create space for himself. So shout out to Grady for being able to do that. That is incredible. The other thing I would say about this game, other than Kelly and Grady kind of connecting a bunch of times, and Jordan Nwora scoring some buckets, and Bruce Brown scoring some buckets, and Gary Trent Jr. scoring some buckets, shout out to Kyle Lowry, man. You guys don't know this about me, but Kyle is my favorite player by far, like very much so my favorite player of all time. And Raptors player of all time. I should clarify that, because, NBA, then I'll go on and on for hours and hours, but he's my favorite Raptor ever. He's probably a lot of people's favorite Raptor that are watching this. And I just love, we just talked about Grady and the intuition he has, right? The feel that he has for the game. Kyle's feel is 99 percentile. Like, it's just incredible how big of a brain he has when it comes to basketball. The things that he does on the court that are the game within the game, contesting the shot, knowing that he's going to draw the foul on that, an offensive foul. There's just certain things that he does. The pull-up threes and transitions, the leak-ahead passes, the full-court passes, the ability to kind of get something going for Philly's offense, even when nothing's happening. And it was really unfortunate because I know a lot of Miami Heat people, and towards the end, it just didn't seem like it was a good relationship, if you will, between Kyle and the Heat fan base and whatnot. I thought Kyle had some really, really great moments in Miami, had some really important playoff moments for them too. And I just think when you have a guy that is that smart on the basketball court, he's still going to be able to make winning plays for you. He's still going to be able to do great things for you. Even Chris Paul right now in the Warriors, like, he's not the same player, obviously, as he was before, but like, you go out there, you know he's not going to like lose his minutes for you. He's going to continue to be an impactful player. And that's huge to say for guys who are like literally towards the last couple of years of their careers have had Hall of Fame level, legacies, if you will, over their tenures. And now they're just sort of kind of sustaining, see if they can pull out another championship. And man, with Kyle, I'm kind of excited to see this Sixers team get fully healthy, right? Get Embiid back in the next week or so, get Maxey back up and running. And like, hey, in the play-in, who knows what could happen? They're probably going to be the 7-8. Maybe they face up against Boston. Maybe they face up against Milwaukee. Either way, a first round series between Philly and Boston or Philly and Milwaukee, like and Embiid is fully healthy and Maxey and Lowry and like Buddy Hield flying around screens and whatnot. And you got like, I just think that's a really impressive team. Now, for what it's worth, I've always been one of those guys where it's like, eventually Philly has to get over the hump. But sometimes there's teams that don't get over the hump. And maybe Philly is one of those teams that eventually never gets over the hump. We talk about, all-time level teams, the Portland Trailblazers of the 90s with Clyde and whatnot. And the Knicks of the 90s were one of those teams, the Ewing effect, right? Notorious for not being able to get over the hump. There's so many. The Houston Rockets, James Harden's Houston Rockets, the Steve Nash Phoenix Suns. These are the really popular examples I'm giving you, but you sort of get what I mean. Like, Philly could potentially be one of those examples, or they could get over the hump. It's about as simple as that. And, it's kind of prove it with those guys at this point in the postseason. I think Kyle adds a little bit of that to them. It's like, Kyle can give them that assurance. Nick Nurse also, for what it's worth, can give them that assurance to be like, hey, man, in the postseason, we know what the hell we're doing. And so I'm excited to see that, folks. From the Raptors side, yeah, I mean, you know what it is, right? Like they were not going to win this game. It was a close battle. I thought the Raptors played pretty well. They shot the ball well throughout. Their defense just wasn't there at times. Their offensive drought is really the thing that's forcing them to struggle right now, even when they get stops, because they'll go through these moments and these segments throughout the game where they won't score for like 5 minutes. And that's an issue, obviously, right? You don't have anybody who can create an advantage for you. You don't have IQ or RJ or Scotty, and you don't have the IQ Jakob pick and roll. You don't have the IQ Kelly pick and roll. You don't have Scotty in the post. You don't have any of your go-to plays, right? None of them. And so you got to throw the whole notebook out on what this Raptors team is, and you're left with, let's see if we can pull off a win at some point in this season. They do play Washington one more time this year. They play Brooklyn one more time this year. Those are probably their two best chances to break this losing streak. But, looking down their schedule, it's pretty likely that they end up breaking the all-time record, which is 17. They need 5 more losses in a row to break it, 4 to tie it. We'll see. I think it aligns right with that Washington game. So it'll be interesting to see, folks. Very, very interesting. RJ Barrett should be coming back soon. I know he was questionable for this one. Maybe he'll play for the Lakers game on Tuesday. Emmanuel Quickly was out for this one. Maybe he's questionable for the Lakers game on Tuesday, and then they start ramping him up. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe we do get some of these guys back before the season starts, or the season ends. Actually, the off season starts. And we get back to playoff basketball, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube channel. Go check out the writing they do. All incredible work as usual. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Salute. Bye-bye.